Hello, folks. Good morning. The hum of wonderful morning, expansive community. We like this. This is great. Good morning, everyone. As we celebrate our journey through the day and honor both the challenge and the delight of our journey through this life, we are here as spiritual community. And so we open ourselves to the wisdom of the universe this morning. And it's into this complex world, the simple things inspire us. They help us. And like our weekly rituals, for example, like lighting our candle, this community candle we light every time we gather. And what is happening when we do this little mundane task of lighting a candle? Well, let's remember what's happening. First, the wax near the wick heats and melts. And that liquid wax is then drawn up the wick by capillary action. Now, if that gives you PTSD from school, I apologize. But the heat of that flame vaporizes that liquid wax and turns it into a gas and starts to break down the hydrocarbons in the wax into molecules of hydrogen and carbon. And what happens to those molecules of hydrogen and carbon? Well, they're drawn up into the flame as fuel, where they react with oxygen from the air to create heat and light and water vapor and carbon dioxide. That is a remarkable process, and if we thought about that every time we lit a candle, more power to you. But in its simple form, we call it lighting a candle. And what a beautiful and simple thing we do with each other. So may we marvel in this light's beauty, in its complexity, in the simple inspiration that it offers to us and the connection that it allows us as community. Whether we're here in this room or whether we join online and we light our own candles, we know we're connected and we're one. So welcome to SSUC. Welcome to Southminster Steinhauer United Church. You're welcome in this circle, in person or online, no matter who you are, no matter what your week was like, no matter whether you've been here many times or this is your first. Welcome. We do affirm our commitment each and every time we gather to remember that our inclusivity extends to all. You are joining us today. So as we begin, please hear and see yourself and see each other in these affirmations. If you need to hear it, then read it and listen. We all need to hear it as many times as we can. We belong. We belong to this community. We belong to the community of earth dwellers. We belong to this universe. We belong, all of us, all ages, all sizes, all colors, all cultures, all abilities, all genders, all sexualities, all religions, or many, or none, all types, all learning styles, all people. So we open ourselves and commit together to creating an expansive community where we do all belong. Welcome to each and every one of you.
It's working. Good morning. I'm Bernie Hardeen, and I'm the gathering companion for this morning. And I will do the honoring of the land. Now, growing up, I wasn't aware of Aboriginal peoples. They were Indians or Eskimos, and usually not spoken of very positively. Residential schools and treaty agreements weren't on my radar. It took me many years to gradually understand the damage my ancestors have done in colonization and establishing European standards for settlers to the detriment of those who were living here before they came. I still have a lot to learn, and I'm grateful for the information that I receive here and the Broadview magazine and current, contemporary literature gives a very different view of what I grew up with. I'll finish with an acknowledgement that I received from Chris. To recognize our land as traditional territory is to see its long history reaching beyond colonization and the establishment of European colonies that set up a system in which we can say we can own or rent this land and call it ours. To acknowledge the traditional land helps us see the significance of the Indigenous peoples who lived and continue to live in the places that we are, whose practices and spiritualities are tied to the land and to continue to develop in relationship to the land and its other inhabitants. A teaching which we must learn from. And so today, here in Edmonton and area, as well as in the Saskatoon area, we recognize that we are on Treaty 6 territory, traditional lands of many First Nations and Métis people. Wherever you are, may you recognize the great and long history of the place and land you find yourselves in. And may these moments lead us to intentions and actions to live in strong relationship with the earth and all the planet's people and creatures.
Thank you, Bernie. Our Time for All Ages is a time that we invite really anyone to come to the carpet, to come forward. You're welcome to come for a time with me here. We sometimes read a story. We sometimes have a chat. You're welcome to come right now. Hi, Robin. Hello. Good morning. Hi. This morning, I don't have a story, but I have a couple things that I want to talk to you about, and then I'm hoping that we can make a list and make a bigger list with your help. So today, I want to talk about awesome things. Awesome things. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we get too busy to remember that simple things are awesome. Like we're going to school, we're going to sports, we're going to music lessons, we're going to this place, we're going to that place, our parents are dragging us here and there, we're going to wherever, and we forget that there needs to be time to enjoy awesome things. Now, maybe you have a lot of awesome things in your life, and that is fantastic. I'm going to give you a few examples of some awesome things that maybe we haven't thought of before, but I want to remind us of. And I can't take credit for all of these. Some of these come from Neil Parisha's book, Book of Awesome. But I want you to think about some of these. Here's an awesome thing. Eating cookies like Cookie Monster. Now, how does Cookie Monster eat a cookie?
One bite.
One bite and it goes everywhere?
No, he doesn't.
Yes, exactly. And have you ever noticed how much goes in his mouth compared to everywhere else?
300 million.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mess. But that's fun. That's a simple, wonderful, beautiful thing. The smell of rain in the summer. Can you imagine it? Can you imagine the smell of rain?
Like candy?
Candy. It's kind of sweet. It's kind of, I don't know how to describe it. It's got its own smell. You'll have to wait for summer and smell it. Here's another one. Dancing with young people and old people together. Ooh, that's fun. That's an awesome thing. The sound of scissors cutting construction paper. Oh, do you know that sound? Can you imagine it? I grew up with who's that guy again? Mr. Dressup. I grew up with Mr. Dressup, and that sound is somehow. Yeah, I know. Ask me later. Oh, when you're in a car and you roll down the window and you put your hand out. Have you ever done that?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, that's an awesome thing. You know what else is awesome? The 5-second rule. Do you know the 5-second rule?
No.
If you drop some food on the ground, you have 5 seconds and you can still eat it. It's fine. That's pretty awesome.
That's yucky.
It is?
Yeah.
It's only yucky after 5 seconds.
It's yucky if you eat it off the
Maybe it is. You're right. We'll ask the doctor about that. How about this one? A long hug when you really need it. Oh, yeah. A long hug, do you like those?
no.
Some people like hugs and some people don't. That's okay. That's all right. Some things are awesome and for some people and some aren't. Here's one for the grown-ups, or slightly older. Typing in your username and password at the speed of light. When you just know it and it just happens and it works. Oh, that's great. That's an awesome thing. Oh, it does sometimes. It works sometimes. Seeing a really happy dog out for a walk. Is that an awesome thing? Oh, yeah. I can go and see a dog, and I don't notice the humans, but I see the dog. I'm like, oh, look at that doggy. And there's probably 5 people around the doggy, but I don't notice. Now, do you have any awesome things? What's an awesome thing that you have in your life? It would just be really simple, just something ordinary. It could be anyone in the room. Oh, serenity. Sleeping. That is simple. Yes, yes. Do you have one?
Bouncy castle?
Bouncy castles. Yes, awesome. Oh, the smile. Yep, that's awesome. A sunrise. Climbing trees. Awesome. You've got singing, rainbows. Gilda? The smell of coffee. Kittens purring. Awesome. Awesome. Homemade bread. Okay, there it is. You've got another one? Cats meowing. Awesome. The first geese on the roof in spring. Great. See, the first day of the geese is beautiful and awesome. Do you read chapter books? I love it when you get to a chapter that's really short. Don't you love that? Oh, that's an awesome thing. It's like, wow, I got through that chapter. I've got one last one because Easter's not like right around the corner, but it's coming in about a month. And I love it when you find a chocolate Easter egg way after Easter. Like it's hiding on your bookshelf, like in November. I love that. That's awesome. All right, so the whole point is we can't forget that even ordinary, everyday things, simple things, can be just awesome. And we have to remember that when we see them, when we experience them, when we taste them and touch them and feel them and smell them. Awesome. This is not what life is about. When you are going to school, you think, I have to do my schoolwork, I have to do my homework, I have to do my tests. When you go to work, you think, I have to go to work, I have to come home, I have to make dinner. When you're retired, you think, I have to do this volunteer thing and that volunteer thing, and I don't have any time. Those things aren't what life is about. Life is about seeing and enjoying the awesome things. So remember, that's the most important thing. Yay. Okay. Kid Spirit might be awesome. You're going to talk about hydrogen and helium, I think. That sounds real fun. And if you need something to think about when you're going to Kid Spirit, think about the sound of barely frozen puddles in the morning and cracking them with your feet. It's awesome. Okay, go, go, go. Kid Spirit's happening. No youth space today, unfortunately. Wes is out sharing the great news about evergreens with the city today, so we celebrate that. We're going to sing. We have some time to share a little bit of our life and work as a community, and I want to start out with a few quick things, if I may. Last night we hosted here our Pie Day event. We had a little time with each other to eat some pie, to bid and take home some wonderful pies, and sing some karaoke, and it was a great time. In fact, we raised some money, and some of the ways we raised money was by auctioning off the chance to pie in the face Wes, our youth coordinator. So that happened. Some other people paid some good money to do the same to Dara, and I was really pleased about that. Come on. Yep, there it is. Beautiful. I'm pleased to say no one wanted to pay enough money to do it to me. The price was higher, I must say. I just want to say this was all in support of Evergreens, which is our community GSA program that happens here on Monday nights. A need in our broader community for a gender sexuality alliance that supports those that are happening in schools, but for those kids and youth who need more support or who don't have that support in their schools. So amazing work that Evergreens is doing, thanks to Wes and other volunteers. There's still a chance to donate. There's some pie left over. If you'd like a slice of pie after the gathering, we're asking you just throw a few bucks in the basket, and you can also contribute to the work that we were doing last night. No whipped cream in the face needed, just your generosity. And I'll just say...
Can I interrupt?
No.
Now, you were all hoping I had a pie behind me. I'd like to start the bidding.
Oh, no!
I'm going to start the bidding at $25.
Oh, my
What have we
God.
got there? We got a 50 here.
Whoa!
Have we got a 60? Come on, we need a 60 here. We got 100. We got 100 from Barbara Sadler-Wells. Can we do better than 100? I'm going to let that hand go. It's okay. 100 going once.
Oh my gosh.
125. Woo! 125. Any further?
Please say.
Katie's holding her hands over 150. Okay, we got 150. Can we get 155? 155. 155. Okay, it's seeming a little quiet here.
Good,
Going
yeah,
once. Going twice. Going 3 times, and it's sold. Timing to be determined later. Thank you.
Hey, Wes will be thrilled with 150 more bucks. That's what's getting me through. Thank you. Amazing. Or should I say awesome? Just a few more quick things, please. If you're newer to SSUC, we host a newcomers lunch once a year, but that's not often enough to kind of get to know each other, to ask questions, to just kind of get the lay of the land or say hi to each other. So every couple of months, we're going to host just a little informal coffee chat here in this room while coffee's happening after the gathering, and the first one of those is going to happen next week. So Sunday after, if you're newer to us, just sidle up to a table, and we'll meet each other and have a little chat. Be fantastic. You're welcome. Today, there is a Welcome Teams support and refresher meeting. If you are part of a Welcome team that greets folks at the front door or in the foyer before a gathering, come to this little meeting. We'll have some muffins, and you'll grab a coffee or a drink, and we'll just have a bit of time together to share the things that are working for us, some tips and tricks that we can help each other with. And that invitation extends to anyone who wants to join in that endeavor. It's important work as an expansive, welcoming, inclusive community. That front door work is really, really important. So if you want to be part of that, come and learn about what we're doing. Micah's here, and Micah could probably speak to it better than I, but I just want to invite you next Friday, March 28th, 7 p.m. here in this space. Micah will offer a piano recital lecture involving his work with music and nature, and culminate in a piece that he's written. So talk to Micah about that if you've got any questions, but we're looking forward to hosting that on Friday the 28th. David, you've got something. come on up.
Thank you. Good morning, David Mayer, and I'm here to talk to you about Operation Friendship, which is an organization in the inner city that Southminster Steinhauer actually helped get started. It's plus 50 years now. 50 years we were supporting them, along with supporting the Bissell. But Operation Friendship was a place where we used to serve casserole lunches. So once a month during the winter months, I used to lead a team of people. We would prepare a casserole lunch for about 150 people. I would cart those big trays of the food downtown, and the next day a couple of us would go and we'd serve the lunch to all these people. Unfortunately, COVID came, and there were lots of problems that came because of that, and so the kitchen was shut down. But Operation Friendship is still going strong. And once a year, they have been having a gala dinner. It's a dinner and a silent auction, and we've usually supported that with 1 to 2 tables of 8 people, and it's coming up again. Here it is, the end of March. The end of May sounds a long way away, but they're they're pushing me to hurry up and get my request for tickets in. Unfortunately, I was away for all of January and February, and then the last month, I was sick with a cold, so I'm here finally to put this word out. There are notices here on the table that you can look at. I'm going to be at the grocery card table. You can come and ask me more questions about it. It's on Monday, May the 26th, downtown, or just north of downtown by the old airport at the Edmonton Inn. And tickets are $100 or a table of 10 for $1,000. As I say, we've had 2 and 3 tables, but a lot of the people that used to join us are unfortunately no longer with us. So we would like to hopefully get at least 1 table. Keep that date in mind, and they would really like me to buy the tickets within the next month or so. So Monday, May the 26th. Thank you.
Good morning, Karen Henderson, Property Maintenance Team. For those of you who have been reading the Morning Messenger, you know we're going through some changes. One of which is that our caretaker, Bruce McCarron, is starting to wrap up some of his work, and his last day at the church will be March 31st. We have hired a new custodian. Echo Kaiser was not able to join us this morning, but I've invited him to join us one Sunday so he can meet all of you. As you know, we're a very busy congregation. There's a lot of things happening, and it takes a lot of work to stay on top of things. So we wanted to take the opportunity as a congregation to thank Bruce for everything that he's done, to wish him well in whatever life brings him in the next phase, and to provide a small token of our appreciation.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Ian Kellogg, and as you're probably aware, the United Church will be celebrating its 100th anniversary on June 10th, 2025. So just a few minutes from me about that. Most of us, I think, struggle to acknowledge fragility and mortality. So when I stumbled back into church 24 years ago in East End, Toronto, I was thrilled to find a path in the Gospels that could help with this struggle. I'd grown up in the church. My late father was a United Church of Canada minister, and he served 5 congregations in Southern Ontario and finished his career in a rather wealthy congregation just outside of Montreal. Of those 6 congregations, 3 have closed, and the other 3 have merged with other local United Churches and are tiny shards of what they once were. Me, like my siblings and friends, I had abandoned church when I left for university. So in 2001, when I surprised myself by joining Kingston Road United Church in Toronto, I learned about the call of Jesus to take up our cross and to follow him to his fate. For me, this call is about the death of our illusions in things like tribal gods and kings, and about the possibility of resurrection into a life more in tune with love. But the way of the cross can help with any of life's endings, from our own mortality to the endings faced by all institutions, whether grand empires or small denominations. When I rejoined the church in 2001, it was clear that the UCC was radically smaller than it had been in my youth. It had shrunk about 2/3 from its high point of 1965. And since then, it has shrunk by another 2/3. As the annual statistical yearbook of the UCC shows, our denomination has shed about 90% of its membership over the last 60 years, even as Canada's population has more than doubled. Because of this painful reality, I was pleased to learn that the UCC's 2012 General Council had established a comprehensive review task group. Its work was to make recommendations about the church's decline. I argued that the UCC should acknowledge its mortal woundedness and use this acknowledgement as a springboard for theological reflection and outreach. This might have culminated, I argued, in gatherings of humility, mourning, and celebration on June 10th, 2025. Gatherings that would have closed the UCC, gatherings that grope for radically new types of communities of faith, hope, and love. But to my disappointment, no one in church leadership agreed that accepting our impending death would help us to find new sources of faith, hope, and love. I feel so blessed to be a member of SSUC. This is a community of great ferment, vision, and joy. And it gives me a glimpse of what the entire denomination could have become over the past 10 years. But sadly, the UCC is celebrating its centennial without acknowledging its fatal decline, and without drawing links between its death as a denomination and the much more important crises we face as a society. Issues like nuclear weapons, artificial intelligence, climate disaster, or our deaths as individuals. The UCC celebrations are happening, but I'm sad that the UCC has turned its back on its imminent death, because acknowledging this reality, as painful as that would have been, could have helped us know more deeply the wonder and the joy to be found on the way of the cross.
Thank you, Ian. And so it's appropriate, I think, that what follows is some wisdom for our living that comes not from a traditional sense of where we think wisdom should come from in the Christian church, but in a more expansive and universal sense where we look to for wisdom, not just in the scriptures and the writings of our spiritual traditions, but in the whole world's artistic, scientific, and human endeavors. So I say that as a way of introducing a rather wonderful interview between Stephen Colbert and Neil deGrasse Tyson. This happened quite a few years ago, and there's no need to introduce it. Stephen asks Neil some questions, and Neil gives some answers. So here it is from a number of years ago at a university lecture theater. Here's this 5 minutes of this interview.
Is there anything in science to you that is beautiful? Or rather, what is the most beautiful thing that you know of in science?
E equals MC squared.
Really?
Oh, that's awesome. It is.
So that equation doesn't just have a great publicist. It's actually... Because everybody knows it, but also everybody knows Coke. You know, it's like the Coca-Cola of science.
Yeah, you learn E equals MC squared before you even know what any of those symbols mean. You hear it in elementary school. It's a gorgeous thing.
What is beautiful about E equals MC squared? First of all, tell everybody what all the pieces mean.
Well, E stands for energy, M is mass. C squared is just the speed of light squared. That's just, ignore that for the moment. The thrust of that equation is that energy and mass are equivalent to each other, which means you can transmute one into the other and back. What makes it extraordinary is that that hardly ever happens in our everyday lives, yet it's going on all the time in the rest of the universe. And so
we're in this little pocket where E equals MC squared is not visible.
It's not visible. It's not happening in our lives. No. But if it did, the world would be really different. Light coming from that bulb would all of a sudden pop into a particle, and the particle would come by and then pop back into light again.
Would it hurt?
It can, yeah. It would sterilize you. There's a lot of, the kinds of particles that would do that they would sterilize you, yeah. That'd be bad.
I've had my kids.
Yeah. So it goes on in the center of the sun. It went on at the Big Bang. It goes on throughout the universe, wherever it's hot and heavy. That's what.
But what is beautiful about it to you?
It's simple. It's simple, yet it accounts for hugely complex things. And for me, that is where the beauty lies in the truth.
No.
If I had to give you a complex theory to understand a complex phenomenon, send me home. Because what's the point? Now, there's no tablet in the sky that said it had to be simple to end up being complex. It's just a remarkable fact about the universe. So why not celebrate it? The fact that pi, right?
Let's say the numbers together. 3.1459.
Well, we got a few geeks
That's pretty good. There's a nerd fest out here. That's beautiful.
Going on over there.
Not bad.
The fact that you take a circle of any size, a circle the size of the universe itself, and divide it by its own radius, and you get that number, that's beautiful. I have to pause, and I get misty thinking of this. I'm sorry. That's just another one. That the atoms and molecules in your body are traceable to the crucibles in the centers of stars that manufactured these elements over its lifespan, went unstable on death, exploding its enriched guts across the galaxy, scattering it into gas clouds that would ultimately collapse and make a star and have the right ingredients to make planets and people. Which means we are part of this universe. As I've said many times, and goes back, not only are we in the universe is in us. That is a profound concept. And I think it's the greatest gift that astrophysics gave culture in the 20th century. There's a research paper in 1957, and I say that because one of the authors just died, like 2 days ago, Jeff Burbidge. Burbidge, Fowler, and Hoyle. One of the most famous research papers that no one ever heard of. You know why, I think? Because it had 4 authors, not just one, and it took a decade to figure out, and it wasn't just somebody burning the midnight oil, so it doesn't lend itself to poetry or screenplays, because it's a collaboration, so nobody wrote about it. But we knew that we are star stuff. We knew that we are stardust at the middle of the 20th century. That connects us to the universe like no other fact. That's beautiful.
Sounds like you have written poetry about it.
Once it gets in you, you have, the only way it comes out is poetically. No!
You write poetry. You write sonnets.
I don't know if there's sonnets, but occasionally a word rhymes in it, and I don't know what to call it. But sometimes if you feel deeply about something, I think the greatest poetry Not that I'm an astrophysicist, right? That's my disclaimer. But some of the greatest poetry is revealing to the reader the beauty in something that was so simple you had taken it for granted. That, I think, is the job of the poet. And so, the simplicity of the universe, which started this part of our conversation, I think if it doesn't drive you to poetry, it drives you to bask in the majesty of the cosmos.
So from that little display, I'm going to tell you a joke. Sherlock Holmes and his sidekick Watson are going on a camping trip. And after sharing a few glasses of whatever they shared, they retire for the night. And at about 3 a.m., Holmes nudges Watson and says, "Watson, look up into the sky and tell me what you see." And Watson says, "I see 1,000,000 stars." Holmes asks, and what does that tell you? So Watson replies, "Well, a lot of things. Astronomically, it tells me there are millions of galaxies and potentially billions of planets. Astrologically, it tells me that Saturn is in Leo. Theologically, it tells me whatever made all of this is beyond human comprehension. Horologically, it tells me it's about 3 a.m. Meteorologically, it tells me that we have a beautiful day tomorrow. What does it tell you, Holmes?" Holmes retorts, "Watson, you idiot. Someone stole our tent." There's something to be said for the simple answer, the simple solution. A while back, I asked my sister, who was a homicide detective with the Edmonton Police, I asked her her experience of sifting through statements and interviews to get to the truth. I said, how do you do that? She told me that the relationship between truth and simplicity is a spectrum. She said, a real-life event should have a lot of details. And it's a detective's job to sort out the complexity and to find what's relevant. And she tells me that fabrications are often oversimplifications, usually so that lies can be kept track of easily. The truth is usually somewhere in between the copious details and the oversimplifications. Simple, but not too simple. Which doesn't sound like it, her description made it sound any easier than before I asked her the question. But maybe that's the same goal of the sciences. Simplicity is subjective, and the universe doesn't always have the same ideas about simplicity as we do. But what seems simple can be quite complicated, and very complex things can, if explained well, like we just heard, be quite simple to understand. Perhaps there's no better statement than from Einstein himself, who said, "Everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler." As simple as possible, but not simpler. For Neil deGrasse Tyson, as he shares in this interview with Stephen Colbert, it's the simplicity of some scientific discoveries and realities that brings him to tears for their sheer beauty, not because our universe is simple, but because their immense complexity can be stated so simply. He recognizes and calls us to an awareness that our world is entirely intricate. It's complex. And that we're able to find and honor beauty and simplicity within it. That an equation with only 3 components can account for our pivotal understanding of how the universe functions, of energy and mass. that a circle of any size by its own radius will always give you the number pi. Beautifully simple, simply beautiful. And like he shared, in effect, we've explored and celebrated over these last few weeks the fact that we are all made of the same stuff, forged at the beginning of the universe. These realities tap into some of the key attributes of spirituality for any of us. First, to see beauty and simplicity within our intricate world and in our very lives. To see that beauty is a spiritual endeavor. Whether we're doing it in science, in the arts, in using our eyeballs or our fingertips when we're out for a walk. Regardless, seeing beauty and simplicity within our intricate world might be our first spiritual task, because it reminds us of our place in the world and our connection to it. And number two, to find and to explore and to celebrate that which connects us all as one. What better and beautiful spiritual principle is there than that? To say we are one being of one substance with each other, this has the power to transform us. The way we behave, the way we think, the way we go about our work, our relationships, our communities, our decisions, our values. Simple, beautiful. We are one. Perhaps in a very different way, the writers and poets who spoke the spiritual words that would eventually become our Christian writings articulated these realities, but in a first century and perhaps timeless understanding. From the 12th chapter of Luke, attributed to Jesus of Nazareth. Consider the ravens. They neither sow nor reap, they have neither storehouse nor barn, and yet they have food enough. And can any of you, by worrying, add a single hour to the span of your life? If then you are not able to do a small thing as that, why do you worry about the rest? Consider the lilies, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin, yet I tell you, even Solomon in all his glory was not clothed like one of these. You didn't clap for that wisdom, I notice. Yes, our consciousness brings a complexity to living that neither ravens nor lilies contend with. We'll grant that. We have this thing called consciousness that makes life entirely complicated. But when we make time enough, when we simplify our calendars just enough, when we open our eyes and our hearts just enough, aren't we able to notice those natural reminders around us of just how simple the complex can be? Are we much different then? That's the point of this story. Are we much different than the flowers or the animals? We are beautiful just the way we are. We are. We are. Is the spiritual call in traditions around the world to live in the present? To appreciate the moment that is now? Isn't that a call to simplicity? It doesn't just happen within our Christian spiritual tradition, it happens the world over. A call to the moment and the simplicity of it. Now is all we have. Look around us. Open our eyes and our hearts to what's right there. A call to be a little more raven and a little more lily. In the words of Impressionist painter Hans Hofmann, eliminate the unnecessary so that the necessary can speak. This is what a call to the moment, a call to the present, and a call to the simple helps us to do. One more story, if I could. Research published in Biomed Central's journal, BMC Research Notes, suggests that the brain simplifies complex patterns. We know this. Our brains are always looking for patterns. And Dr. Nicholas Hudson decided to look into this in the way that music compression formats reduce audio files. You know how you're in your computer and you can get, you have a really big file and you can get it to make it smaller? You can get it to compress itself or zip it or whatever we call it. Well, some of the same technology involved with that happens with music, audio files, by removing redundant data and identifying patterns. So this study, Hudson used this lossless music compression programs to mimic the brain's ability to condense audio information. And I found this really fun and funny. He compared the amount of compressibility of random noise to a wide range of music, including classical, techno, rock, and pop, and found that, first of all, random noise could be compressed to about 86% of its original size. So if you've just got a file of random noise, you can squish it down a bit, you can condense it to about 86% of its size. Music from various genres like techno, rock, pop, classical, which might seem simple, so like a simple melody, maybe it's like a classic rock trio, bass, guitar, vocals, drums, that kind of thing. Most of those can be compressed to about 60%. But music that appears complex at first blush, including orchestral and some of the most popular songs of Western music, can be compressed to about 40%. And what Dr. Nicholas Hudson says about this is, despite apparent complexity, it is compressibility that we respond to. Data suggests that what makes a song in any style enjoyable, and granted that's a very subjective thing, but what makes it enjoyable is our ability to find within it pleasurable and simple patterns. In the words of Hudson, musical beauty, like the deepest scientific and mathematical insights, is that which, according to our senses, is apparently complex, but according to our minds, is actually quite simple. Can we recreate its rhythms, its melody? Will it stick? So whether you're a diehard classical nerd or a rock star or a pop diva, it seems that we choose the music we prefer not by simply listening to it, but by calculating its compressibility. Can I summarize this by humming it or tapping it? Interesting. It's as true in art as in science as in our enduring spiritual traditions. Can we find the sweet spot where we see beauty and simplicity in the complex? And because that awe and that beauty so often leads us to poetry, as Neil deGrasse Tyson said, I close with a verse by Wendell Berry. It leads us to poetry. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. So the question all of this wisdom asks us, I think, is what in our lives needs simplifying? Where can we go to come into the peace of wild things? To feel above us the day-blind stars waiting with their light? What can we eliminate of the unnecessary so that the necessary beauty of our lives might speak? May that be our goal of living. to simplify just enough to find in our spiritual journey the beauty of our living, a world that might just let us see our connection to each other, to ourselves, to everything in the cosmos. That is beauty. May it be so for us.
And I know I'm not
Please join me in strengthening our intentions. Each day calls us to notice, to focus upon the essential, the beautiful, the valuable, rather than our sulky preoccupations. In this moment, let's rest our complaints and our apprehensions about tomorrow, and instead savor the incomparable beauty of our time and place in the cosmos. May we allow some new light to shine upon us as we grow our gratitude toward time and possibility. And if we're able to do it, that light just might find its way through the cracks of our rigid defenses, through our ability to complicate, and through our failure to notice. So let's make room for the light as we listen beyond words. Find spaces of beauty and hope in the ordinary things. We'll commit to making holiness our goal, knowing we are worthy of giving and receiving love and belonging. And we live like we know it.
The light and the process of what we did at the beginning is still happening, and yet we must change it. We must change it when we blow out a candle. And because in the theory of the conservation of energy, nothing is ever lost, we know that just because we blow out the light doesn't mean the energy is not there. It simply changes. And so we go, being changed by each other, changed by community. We go into a life of love.